All right, ready? All right, good evening. If we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our April board meeting. I'm going to keep my remarks brief. I just wanted to announce and thank again our county legislator, Michael G., and the county executive. We did receive our grant for $104,000 that will be used for the repairs at the Camp Avenue School, the roof that we had to repair last year. So we're very excited about that, and that check shall be coming tomorrow. So I wanted to just make note of that, and I will turn it over to Dr. Siniak for her comments.
Okay, welcome. So excited to see everybody. I'll be brief, and then we're going to move into our budget presentation. Some of the highlights that we had over the last month. We had our parent-teacher conferences on March 19th, always a great turnout. Thank you to our parents for always partnering with our schools and our teachers for the best interests of our students. We had our Happiness Day, International Happiness Day on March 20th. Every day is Happiness Day here in North Merrick, though, we know that, but we did take that day to really celebrate, and the children all had a wonderful time. Theater arts, wow, Shrek Jr., the musical, on March 28th and 29th, packed house, another amazing show. Great job by our sixth graders. And as I spoke at one of the shows, the bonds that our sixth graders form amongst the three schools are lifetime bonds and friendships. And when they go to MAMS next year, they have those couple of extra friends that make them very, very happy and at ease. And a big shout out to the entire staff who participated. Joyce Kelly, Lisa Sokol, Christine Vanella. I mean, the list goes on. And thank you. What a great job everyone did. It was a great show. Our UPK lottery was held quite a few weeks ago. Placements for our UPK will go out this Friday. And all of our families must provide proof of residency before their placement can be verified and before they can accept it. We have 114 seats. On tonight's agenda, you'll see the contracts for those UPK community-based organizations that we will be partnering with. We had an RFP that went out, so those that met the criteria are being awarded the contracts. This will be the end of our third year with UPK. Very proud of that. Thank you, Board of Education, for your support, and we'll be moving into our fourth year. What's coming up? Our Community Read Aloud kickoff on Thursday this week at 3:30 at the North Merrick Library. It's our second annual, so really looking forward to that. Spring recess, really looking forward to that. I'm sure everyone here. We return on Tuesday. Don't forget, not Monday. We return on Tuesday, April 22nd. Our summer programs are up on our website. We have our scope in Old Mill for the month of July pretty much, and we are also starting a JCC recreation program after scope, so parents that need a full day of something for their children, scope can go right into JCC, so parents don't have to come up in between. Looking forward to that. Here at Fayette, we have our music program, our theater arts, Spanish, our extended school year, our E&L program. So again, another vibrant summer here in North Merrick. Doesn't feel like summer, but we're hoping it does get a little warmer. And I would just like to give a big shout out to our board president, Miss Megan Ryan, who is a premier businesswoman of Long Island. Big article in the Herald, so a big round of applause for her. And now, Ms. Donnelly with our budget presentation.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Just wait for a minute so she can dim the lights and we'll be able to see the presentation. Okay, so tonight is the night that our board will review and hopefully adopt our budget. But before we do that, I'm just going to kind of present the highlights of the process and where we are and what's coming up in the next few weeks. So you'll see on the agenda, we're going to review the expenditure budget, the revenue budget. We're going to look at some charts, analysis, what's on our ballot, because we want everyone to know what they're voting on. what happens if the budget doesn't pass, and our proposed contingent budget. So as you can see on the screen here, and for those that don't have a copy of the presentation, we will be posting it on our budget website tomorrow. Our proposed budget for the 25-26 school year is $42,638,849. That represents a 3.51% budget-to-budget increase as compared to last year's budget. We are also looking at a 2.87 projected tax levy increase. That is compliant with our tax levy limit, as I presented a few months ago, the 2% tax cap, as you are probably familiar with. So we are compliant with that. As part of the budget process, New York State requires us to report the budget in what they call different components. So the three components of our budget are the administrative portion, which covers the offices, the central office, the principal's office, all the folks that are really managing and operating the district. The program, which is everything relating to teaching and learning, teachers, supplies, textbooks, special ed, technology, anything that we need to instruct students is in that portion of the budget, and that is usually the largest because that's where we want to see the most money being spent. Capital, also a smaller portion, but it's the place where we put the money to keep our buildings up to snuff. Any repairs that we need, any enhancements we need, debt service from prior borrowings, et cetera. So I put the percentages here, but I also did a little chart because I like to do charts because I'm a math person and I like to see things visually. So you can see here, the big green portion is the program portion of our expenditure budget. And again, we want to see that as the largest portion anytime we do a budget. My predecessor did this chart, and so I presented it a few weeks ago, and I'm updating it with the final numbers. What this is good to show you is that large green chunk is salary and benefits. That's the part of our budget that really we have no control over. The contracts rule the salaries and benefit percentages that our employees are entitled to, what the district pays, what they pay towards their benefits, et cetera. So you can see even before we start our process, we have a number that's already kind of determined by those things. So we start off with that, and then we go with the rest of the needs and wants and go from there. Okay, now we're going to talk revenue. Everybody likes getting money, right? So our revenue budget, and I'm sorry that it's very small up there, but our revenue budget, and you'll see another slide when I talk about the tax levy, is made up of a number of parts. We have state aid, we have pilots, which are agreements that are made by business owners to pay a discounted rate instead of paying what their tax rate would be. Projected other revenues, things that we do in the district, like provide educational services to students, so we're charging tuition to another district. Interest earnings on our bank account. Those are the types of other revenues that we'll see there. You'll see the section in the middle is really mostly reserves. And reserves, as I mentioned previously, are kind of savings accounts, specific purpose savings accounts that the state allows us to set up with specific rules and also specific rules on how we can expend them. So I'll use the ERS, for example. The ERS is the Employee Retirement System. And that is what we anticipate paying to New York State next year for those employees that are covered under the New York the Employees Retirement System, excuse me. And you'll see the number has increased because the projection from the state has increased. But what we do when we take that number, the 687,000 out of our reserve, it's really a dollar for dollar type of thing. So like if the bill comes in at $687,315, that's the maximum amount we can take out of the reserve. So the amounts actually have to match. If it came in less, we would take less. So this is the projected amount that the state gave us. So again, you really see it summarizes all the different aid categories. And as we talked about previously, our revenue budget has to equal our expenditure budget. Both sides have to balance. And of course, as I'm sure you've seen in the media, we're waiting for the state to give us our budget. So these state aid numbers are the numbers they gave us in January. We're hopeful that we'll get something soon, but we'll keep you posted. So here again, another chart that shows you the breakdown. You'll see the tax levy is our largest source of revenue, followed by state aid, and then, the other 3 or 4 areas that we have revenue. So the property tax calculation, What we do when we're looking at this process is we look at all of our sources of revenue and say, where are we getting money from? Because we take all these sources into account. We project what we think we're going to get based on estimates we get from folks, based on past history. And so you'll see there the sources of revenue in the middle: state aid, local sources, pilots, fund balance, reserve use. So when we get to that subtotal, we know what our expenditure budget is. We know what we're getting from other sources, and then the rest would come from our tax levy. So what will you see on the ballot in just a few weeks? We have several propositions here for our district, which I'll run through in a second. We also will have the high school propositions on our budget, which will be a separate item. So Proposition 1 for us, of course, is our school district budget. That will include the election of 3 Board of Education trustees for a 3-year term. We have Proposition number 2, which is the creation of a new capital reserve fund. As we talked about previously, we need to start saving for future projects. We talked about the roofs. We're going to talk about the camp roof in a second, but we also need to do roofs at both this building and at Old Mill Road. So what we want to do is start planning for those projects and other projects. And the reason we use the capital reserve is so we can avoid the cost of borrowing debt service. And then Proposition 3 is the expenditure from our 2019 capital reserve. What we would like to do is ask our voters to approve that project, and we're required to get the voter approval to do that work. If the voters do approve that work, we have what's called our funding source. So now we can send our documents up to State Education Department for review with the specs that our architect will draw up for all the roof work that needs to be done. Once we get the state approval, then it comes back to us. We have to put it out for bid. It's a lengthy process, and so it takes, several months to do. So it is our hope that all goes well. We will plan to do this roof work in the summer of 2026.
How much is the roof?
It's estimated right now just over $1.3 million.
So that's, we're getting money from the legislature from that?
The money from the legislators for the repair that we had to do last year because of the emergency. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So what happens if the budget isn't passed? Every year, a contingent budget. What our options are, the board can go and put the same budget back up for, if it's not passed the first time, the board can opt to change the budget and put a revised budget up. But if we did put up a second budget and that did not pass, we would have to adopt what's called a contingent budget. The contingent budget basically is that the tax levy that we had from prior year budget is the same tax levy. We cannot have a dollar increase in the tax levy. So you see here, I list the amount from last year is $26,145,025. That would be the amount of our tax levy. So what does that mean for our budget? We would have to reduce it. So our expenditure budget will go down to $41,888,996. Represents a 1.69% budget to budget increase, and then, as we talked about, a 0 tax levy increase. But what does that mean for our students and our staff and our families and our community members? There are things that the state gives us regulations that we cannot do under a contingent budget. And some of the things are no new equipment purchases. Even if the repair to a piece of equipment would cost more than buying something new, we're not allowed to do it. Sounds crazy, but that's the rules. Any kind of non-essential maintenance, any capital expenditures, except in the case where there's an emergency related to health and safety. Our buildings would not be allowed to be used if there was a cost to the district. And we do have a lot of building use right now, so that would be, troublesome for our community. Non-instructional employees who are not a member of a collective bargaining unit could potentially not receive a raise. And really, the things that we have are not allowed to buy are things that are considered non-contingent. Things that are contingent that we are allowed to spend money on in a contingent budget would be legal obligations, expenditures authorized by statute, items necessary to maintain the educational program, preserve property, and ensure the health and safety of students and staff. So there are a lot of things that we have to pull back on with a contingency budget. So we just put that out there so folks know when they're voting what the consequences are and what would happen, what the potential process would be if that budget vote was not successful on the first time. And I will open the floor to any questions. course, and most importantly, and just two quick things, the budget vote May 20th at our North Merrick Public Library. And I really do want to thank the board and our Budget Advisory Committee and my colleagues in central office for all of their time, feedback, and effort during this process. It's been a long one, but it's a good one. So I appreciate it and thank you all.
Nice job. Thank you. And we can take any questions during our public comments on the budget, just to, on that would go under agenda items only. If we could have a motion to approve 4A through 4C. Motion by Mary, seconded by Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. Any public comments on agenda items only, including our lovely budget presentation by Ms. Donnelly? Any? All right, we're going to move on. If we have a motion to pass 6A through 6I as listed on the agenda. Motion by Ed, second by Mary. All in favor? Aye, motion carries. You go.
Yeah.
Wake up. A motion to approve 7A, the personal actions report.
Motion.
Yep. Oh, yeah. By Steve, seconded by Ed. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And Dr. Siniak, if you'd like to name, yep.
The Board of Education just approved our personnel actions report. So I'd like to take a moment at this time. As many of you know, we do have some retirees this year, and we got out of the gate early, and we posted for people to come in and apply for classroom positions. We received over 500 resumes. We had screenings. We had committee, we had demos, we had final interviews, and we had writing samples. And the 3 candidates are here this evening, and I would like to announce their names so they could stand up and be recognized. Congratulations. North Merrick is an extremely special place, and you should be very excited that you are here because you made it through a very rigorous process. So we have Antonio Baglivo. Please stand up. Welcome.
Welcome.
We have Michaela Gallo. Please stand up. Welcome. And we have Caroline Minelli. Please stand up. Welcome to all of you and congratulations.
Congratulations. You have this spark in your eye. I love it. Hope you have that in September. Rest up. All right. Okay, we have a motion to approve 8A through 8E. Motion by Kathy, seconded by Steve. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And our report of committees. Would you like?
Yeah, sure. So our Central High School District Board of Ed meeting was on April 2nd. At this meeting, we honored track athletes who were county champions from Kennedy and Mepham High School. We also had 2 girls from the district girls wrestling team and the Mepham cheerleading team. All of them were also county champions. The public session was mostly taken up with the Central High School proposed budget for 25-26. As I reported last month, the proposal includes a 3.32 budget-to-budget increase and only a 2.82 tax levy increase, which is within the tax cap. Also highlighted some work being done this summer. The middle school boys locker room is being reconstructed. Kennedy High School auditorium, sound and lighting upgrades. And also Kennedy track will be resurfaced. I have a question for Ms. Donnelly. So just so I'm sure, how the propositions are numbered on the vote. Like the high school budget is Proposition 1, but how does that differ when they see like our Proposition 1, isn't it?
I'm going to let Joanne
Oh,
answer that
Joanne,
one.
sorry.
That's definitely a question for me. Any proposition that the school, our school has, goes first. So we have 1, 2, 3. So the high school would be 4
4.
and 5.
Okay. So when I say Proposition 1 is the high school budget, I'm really meaning Proposition 4
Yes.
and then 5.
That's
Okay.
correct. However, the Belmore has a different layout also. They would do their Proposition 1,
Right.
their Proposition 2, but the high school might be 3 on theirs.
Right, but for North Merrick.
For North Merrick, yes.
Yes, how our hours will look.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I said it all's happening this summer. That's already been approved from last year's budget. The new things, Proposition 2, which is on the ballot, which I should mention, or
That
Proposition
was 5.
5, would not be changing the budget. This is just a vote to appropriate the funds to rebuild or to renovate the second and third floor of Calhoun High School, replace our library roof, replace the auditorium curtains, replace the wood gym partitions, used to be made of wood. They're going to put in heavy curtains, replace the boiler, and also repair the gym ceiling. That's all Proposition 5. Okay, does not affect the budget. And of course, Proposition 4 would be the high school budget. May 7th is the board meeting and the budget hearing, and of course, May 20th is the budget vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed.
So one of the perks of being a newly hired employee, we're going to let you leave if you want, so that you don't have to stay here for the rest of the meeting. We usually do that. I was a little remiss in doing that, but it's not going to be much longer, so it's up to you.
You might want to stick around and enjoy Ms. Keene's
Yes.
wonderful school
Okay.
community relations and PTA report.
PTAs continue to be incredible. They're planning out spring festivities. So we'll start with Camp Avenue. Students celebrated the International Day of Happiness, making it a joyful day all around. The PTA arranged for a great assembly with Holly Rock Entertainment. Students participated in a fun, engaging game show. Mad Science came to the school for K through 2 grades. Kids were engaged and came home raving about it. Upcoming events include the final book fair of the year. It's buy one, get one. Spring Fling and the talent show. Amazing Athletes is halfway over. Chess Club began last week, and Drama Club, their play is this Thursday. So lots of activities. Fayette has even more. Mad Science visited to celebrate International Day of Happiness. The Science Fair Awards were given out on March 26th. The New York Islanders are scheduled to visit Fayette this week, April 11th, for a pep rally. Ready, Set, Go is scheduled for April 24th and May 13th. We are excited to welcome our newest HDF kids to the school. Staff Appreciation Week is May 5th through 9th, so they're planning. Our theme is Wickedly Awesome, so based off the movie Wicked. Pickleball, Game Club, Podcast Club, and Amazing Athletes are all running smoothly. The Scholastic Book Fair was March 18th for students, and then they had a March 19th book fair for parents, and they said that was it was a great fundraiser for them. Bingo night was April 3rd. Their school supply sale is running right now through April 23rd for paper orders and April 25th for online orders. The spring boutique is scheduled for May 9th. Old Mill Road, the Sweetheart Shamrock Dance for grades K through 3 was a huge success. Beautiful flower fundraiser. They had a beautiful flower fundraiser courtesy of Olive, which was fantastic. Spirit Wear fundraiser with Lux and Hazel just ended. Happiness Day was celebrated with an amazing assembly, Lead You. Students learned about the importance of making good choices and being kind and caring people. They were also given strategies on how to use mindfulness activities to help reset and refocus the brain. On April 2nd, we had the Islanders Assembly with 2 representatives and Sparky the mascot in attendance, and we just have to laugh. The kids were slightly disappointed that there were no players. Slightly, but Sparky helped out with that. Bingo for Books is in the works and will return on May 9th, and very exciting fun day plans are currently being discussed. SEPTA, on April 24th, we are having a speaker scheduled at Fayette who will be discussing encouraging kids to be independent and to help them cope with anxiety. It's going to be a great talk. Kelly, the president of SEPTA, saw it and she said it's excellent. So SEPTA is finalizing plans for a circus event on May 7th. And very exciting, SEPTA will be covering field trips for our self-contained classes. So all great things. Thank you, PTAs. Incredible.
Thank you. We're going to defer Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter's report, he's not present tonight, so we will do our building and grounds report in May. Ms. Long, any communications?
2 communications were received and responded to.
Great, thank you. Any unfinished business by the board? Any new business? Any public comments? With that being said, hope you have a happy Passover, Easter. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by both, all right, all of us, adjourned. And welcome to our new employees. Thank you. Have a great
Yes.
night.
So nice.